What if the money sitting in your savings account is actually working against you? Not because saving is wrong, not because banks are evil, but because there is a principle in the Bible, ancient, powerful, and almost completely ignored, that says hoarding what God gave you to multiply is not wisdom, it's theft. Stay with me, because this is going to change the way you think about every dollar you own. Most Christians grow up with one financial message drilled into them from childhood: save, save, save. Work hard, spend less, put money aside, build an emergency fund, don't touch it, don't risk it, don't move it. And look, saving is not a sin. Nobody is saying throw all your money into a bad investment and call it faith. That's not what this is about. But here is the question nobody is asking. Is saving the same as being a good steward? Because most people assume it is. They think that keeping money safe, keeping it untouched, keeping it exactly where it was, that's what it means to be responsible with what God gave you. And that assumption has kept millions of Christians financially stuck for decades. Let's go to the book that started it all, Matthew chapter 25. You've probably heard this story before, but I want you to hear it differently today. A wealthy man is about to go on a long journey. Before he leaves, he calls 3 of his servants and he gives each one a different amount of money based on their ability. To the first servant, he gives 5 talents. To the second, 2 talents. To the third, 1 talent. Then he leaves. Now, a talent in biblical times was not a small amount. 1 talent was roughly equivalent to 20 years of wages for an average worker. So the first servant received the equivalent of 100 years of income, the second, 40 years, and the third, 20 years. This is not pocket change. This is life-changing, generational wealth. And then the master disappears. The first servant doesn't wait. He doesn't hesitate. He takes his 5 talents and he puts them to work immediately. And he doubles it. 5 becomes 10. The second servant does the same. 2 becomes 4. And the third servant? He digs a hole in the ground. He wraps up his talent. He buries it, and he waits for the master to come back. Now here is what's fascinating. If you asked most people what the third servant did wrong, they'll say he wasted the money, or he spent it on something foolish, or he gambled it away. But that's not what happened. He did something far more dangerous. He did nothing. When the master returns, the first 2 servants are celebrated. Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. That phrase, faithful with a few things, is one of the most important phrases in the entire New Testament when it comes to money, because it reveals something about how God thinks. God doesn't just reward those who receive, He rewards those who multiply. But the third servant steps forward, and his explanation is almost painful to read. He says, "Master, I knew you were a hard man. I was afraid, so I hid your money in the ground. Here it is, safe and sound." Safe and sound. He thought he did the right thing. He thought protecting the money, keeping it exactly as it was what the master wanted. And the master's response? He calls him wicked. He calls him lazy, and he takes the 1 talent away and gives it to the man who already has 10. Think about that for a second. The servant didn't steal. He didn't lie. He didn't misuse what he was given. He simply refused to let it grow. And in God's economy, that refusal has a name. Now let's talk about what this means for your life, right now, today. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. Most Christians are living like the third servant. Not because they're bad people, not because they don't love God, but because they were taught to protect what they have, not to multiply it. They tithe, yes, they give to the church, but the rest? It sits in a checking account earning next to nothing, in a savings account that barely keeps up with inflation, in a mattress, metaphorically speaking, or sometimes literally. And the question that should shake you, the question that keeps me up at night, is this: what if the money you think you're protecting is slowly being stolen from you? Because inflation is real. Every year that your money sits still, it loses purchasing power. The dollar that sits untouched in 2024 is worth less in 2025, and less again in 2026, and less again the year after that. You think you're saving, but the value is disappearing quietly. invisibly every single day. That is not stewardship. That is a slow-motion version of burying your talent in the ground. So what is the alternative? Sowing. And this is where the Bible gets extraordinarily specific in a way that most Sunday sermons never quite reach. 2 Corinthians 9 verse 6. Read it slowly. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. This verse is not just about tithing. It is not just about church offerings. It is a universal law, a financial law, built into the fabric of creation by the God who designed the universe. Sowing generously, reaping generously. The farmer doesn't keep all his seed in the barn because he's afraid of losing it. He plants it. He puts it in the ground. He takes the risk because he understands something that the third servant never learned. Seed kept in the barn stays seed forever. Seed planted in good soil becomes a harvest. Now let's be clear about something important, because this is where a lot of people misunderstand biblical wealth principles. Sowing is not reckless. It is not throwing your money at every opportunity that knocks on your door. It is not buying into the next big scheme because someone called it a blessing. Biblical sowing is intentional. It is prayerful. It is wise. Proverbs 21 verse 5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." Diligent, planned, thoughtful. God is not calling you to be impulsive with your money. He is calling you to be intentional with it, to study, to learn, to understand where and how to plant what He has entrusted to you. Because here is the thing about seeds. They don't all grow in the same soil. A farmer who knows his land, who understands the seasons, who plants at the right time in the right place, that farmer reaps differently than the one who scatters seed everywhere and hopes for the best. Wisdom and faith are not opposites, they are partners.
Let's talk about the stolen money part, because that's what the title promised, and I don't want to leave you hanging. There are 3 ways your money is being stolen right now, and all 3 are connected to this saving versus sowing conversation. The first thief is inflation. We already touched on this, but I want you to feel the weight of it. If inflation runs at 4% per year, and in recent years it has run far higher than that, then a savings account earning 1% is not protecting you. It is losing you 3% per year, quietly, without drama, without announcement. That's the first thief, hiding in plain sight. The second thief is inaction. This is the thief the parable is warning us about. The servant who did nothing lost everything. Not because he spent it badly, but because he refused to engage. He sat on his hands. He let fear make the decision for him. And fear, the Bible is very clear about this, is not from God. 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." A sound mind, not a paralyzed one, not one that freezes every time a financial decision has to be made. A sound, clear, courageous mind that knows how to move. The third thief is the most subtle of all. It is the belief that staying still is the same as being safe. It is not. In the kingdom of God, neutrality is not an option. You are either multiplying or shrinking, growing or decaying, sowing or losing. There is no financial standing still, not in a world where everything around you is moving. Now, let's talk about what biblical sowing actually looks like in a modern context. Because I know some of you are wondering, does this mean I should invest in the stock market? Does this mean I start a business? Does this mean I give more to the church? The answer is yes, all of the above and more. Luke 16:10, Jesus says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much." This verse is about progression, about starting where you are with what you have right now. You don't need a large inheritance to begin sowing. You don't need a business degree. You don't need a financial advisor with a corner office. You need a decision to stop burying and start planting. For some people, that looks like finally opening an investment account and putting in something small every month, consistently, faithfully, without stopping. For others, it looks like starting the side business they've been dreaming about for 3 years and never started because they were waiting for the perfect moment. For others still, it looks like giving more, radically, joyfully, trusting that God's promise in Malachi 3:10 is real, that when you open the windows of heaven with your generosity, He will pour out more than you can contain. All of these are forms of sowing. All of them require faith. All of them carry risk, and all of them are more aligned with the heart of God than a dollar sitting motionless in an account going nowhere. Here is something I want you to sit with. The servant who buried his talent wasn't a villain. He was afraid. He was playing defense in a game that God designed to be played offensively. And the saddest part, he thought he was being careful. He thought fear was wisdom. He thought protection was the same as faithfulness. It wasn't. And if you look honestly, really honestly at your own financial life right now, you might find a little bit of that third servant in yourself. I know I did. Because fear is comfortable. Saving feels responsible. Sitting still feels safe. But safety is not the goal of the kingdom. Fruitfulness is. Genesis 1:28, the very first instruction God ever gave to human beings, was not be safe. It was be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth. Multiply. From the very beginning, multiplication was the plan. Fruitfulness was the mandate. Increase was the intention. You were not designed to bury what God gave you. You were designed to grow it. So where do we land? Saving has its place. An emergency fund is wisdom. Not having debt hanging over your head is wisdom. Being prepared is wisdom. But saving cannot be your entire financial strategy. It cannot be the end point of your stewardship. Because if all you ever do with what God gives you is protect it, you are the third servant, full stop. The real question is not whether you save or sow. It is whether you understand that sowing is the higher calling, that multiplication is the mandate, that the God who gave you every dollar you've ever earned is watching, not to see if you kept it safe, but to see what you did with it. Because one day, and the parable makes this very clear, the master will return. And on that day, the question won't be how much you saved. It will be how much you multiplied. It will be what you did with what you were given, whether you let fear win or whether you chose faith, whether you buried it in the ground or whether you planted it in good soil and watched it grow into something that changed your life, your family, and the lives of everyone around you. That is what biblical stewardship looks like. That is what it means to be trusted with much. And that story, your story, is still being written. The only question left is what the next chapter looks like. Make it count.